Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm David Vogel, Judge Executive. Happy to have you here today on the 15th day of March 2022. Beautiful day in Oldham County, and we thank you all for coming. If you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. United States of America. The nation of God. If you have a cell phone with you today, I'm going to invite you to join me and turn it to off or vibrate. Denise Clerk, our Fiscal Court Clerk, will now call the roll.
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice. Magistrate Woosley.
Here.
Magistrate Greenwell.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Hawkins.
Here.
Magistrate Dye.
Here.
Magistrate Logston. Judge Vogel.
Here. Having all members of the Fiscal Court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
Second.
Are there any additions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Judge,
Yes, sir.
do we want, Magistrate Tice, were you going to add under committee recommendations and reports?
Probably not at this time.
At this point, because we haven't reviewed them, if you're talking about the RFQ opening.
Well, we just need to put a placeholder in there so we don't.
Okay.
That's fine. Wherever you want,
Okay.
suits me.
All right. We'll just,
know we're talking about just
Sure.
Okay,
okay.
Judge,
All right. We'll just review. Okay.
more for the judge than it was for you, Wayne.
All right. We'll add that to after the KYT secondary road program. So, all right. All in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll have Denise read the minutes from our meeting, last meeting, which was on the first day of March.
The Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at a regular meeting at 2 p.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney John Carter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Brent Likens, Wayne Tice, Kevin Woosley, Steve Greenwell, Chris Hounds, Stephanie Hawkins, Bob Dye, and Michael Logston. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the agenda with the additions of Finance Committee recommendations, CPI correction for employee salaries, and CPI correction for magistrate and coroner salaries. Motion carried unanimously. The meeting minutes from February 15th, 2022 were read and approved unanimously. The following sealed bid was opened and read aloud for surface water quality monitoring. Atlas Technical Consulting, Louisville, $9,300. The following sealed bid was opened and read aloud for household hazardous waste collection. Environmental Enterprises, Cincinnati, $29,399.20. Motion made by Magistrate Hawkins upon recommendation from the Environmental Recycling and Utilities Committee and seconded by Magistrate Woosley to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the Solid Waste Management Area Summary Report for 2021. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Logston and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to authorize the payment of the payables. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell upon recommendation from County Engineer Jim Silliman to award the bid to Louisville Paving in the amount of $29,380 for the 3709 and 3711 East Locust Circle Drainage Improvement Project. Motion carried unanimously. Brandstetter Carroll representatives Phil Schilfarth and Charlie Schneider reported on the recent assessment of the existing pool. Magistrate Tice, Parks Committee Chairman, provided a report on possible options for the pool renovation and recommendations for the request for qualifications for the pool renovation, design, and engineer. The following community members spoke in regards to the pool project: Mary Esterly, Renee Whitlam, Janine Chesserheber, John Lackner, Lisa Paris, Renee Toombs, Greta Sweeney Dunkel. Motion made by Magistrate Hawkins and seconded by Magistrate Likens to move forward with a request for qualifications to design and engineer including construction plan documents for the renovation of the Oldham County Aquatic Center pool. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds, effective 3/13/2022. All fiscal court employees, including employees at the detention center, will receive a 4% consumer price index salary increase. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds, effective 3/13/2022. Magistrates and the coroner will receive a 4% consumer price index salary increase. Motion carried 8-1, with Magistrate Hawkins voting in opposition. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to promote Matt Dunaway to Chief Building Official at $28.60 an hour, effective 3/1/2022. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to hire Gian Riley as building monitor at $7.50 an hour, effective 3/2/2022. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Woosley to rehire Nick Wilt as Telecommunicator 2 part-time as needed at $25 an hour, effective 3/2/2022. And to approve a status change for Amberly Green, Telecommunicator 2, from full-time to part-time as needed at $25 an hour, effective 3/2/2022. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Woosley and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to reappoint Damian Baird to the Tourism Commission for a term to expire 3/2/2025. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Woosley upon recommendation by County Engineer Jim Silliman to award the bid for surface water quality monitoring to Atlas Technical Consultants in the amount of $9,300. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously. The meeting adjourned at 3:46 p.m.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from the 1st of March. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Second.
Are there any corrections? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now we're going to have something a little different for our fiscal court meeting here today, but we're very happy today. We're having a guest with us today, and that guest is Stacia Urban, Jim Urban's mother. She is here today, and we're very happy to have you here, Miss Urban. We're all about to celebrate her 100th birthday, which will be coming up on April 8th. Soon, all right. And I know you're surprised to have it here, and we appreciate 100 years is quite a birthday to celebrate, and we're very, very, very happy to have you here. We heard a lot about you over the years from Jim, and I know he gets to visit you in Massachusetts with some degree of frequency, as often as he can, for sure. And so we're happy to have you. I know you've been living here in Oldham County with Jim now for a while, and very happy to have you here. I found out the weather is easier winter here than they have in Massachusetts. Winter comes and goes here a little bit, but we hope it's gone at this point. So, Right, yeah, right. We give employees off 2 days a week here. Sometimes more, a few extra times. But I do have here in my hand a very nice proclamation I'd like to read, and we'll give you this in just a second. It says, whereas Stacia K. Urban was born on April 8th, 1922 in Moosup, Connecticut, to parents who had immigrated from Poland. And whereas Stacia Urban met Max P. Urban and married on May 1946 after he was honorably discharged from the United States Navy. And whereas Stacia Urban worked as a production line supervisor at American Bosch, making mangalos, or mangatos, that is, for airplanes. I'm not sure exactly what that is, during World War II, and later worked in manufacturing TV picture tubes for Zenith and at Smith & Wesson as a final inspector. And whereas Stacia and Max Urban had 4 children, including Jim here, 6 grandchildren and 9 great-grandchildren. And whereas Stacia Urban's hobbies include sewing custom clothing, doll clothes, car, and couch covers, and just about anything else that needs repair. Is that right? And can make it all. She also made clothing alterations for priests and nuns, vestments for priests, and church sanctuary material. So now, therefore, I, David Vogel, by virtue of authority vested in me as County Judge Executive, Oldham County, Kentucky, hereby do declare Friday, April 8th, 2022 as Stacia K. Urban Day in Oldham County. And I witnessed that today on the 15th of March, a little bit ahead of time, but that's okay. So we'd like to give you this award now. So that'll be. All right, happy to have you here today, Miss Urban, and we wish you the very best on your birthday here, coming up very soon. Right. Okay. All right. The day off. Yeah. 2 days off. Well, sure. Thank you very much. We enjoyed having you here today. Right. The next thing we're going to do now is hear from our county clerk, Julie Barr, and we're going to maybe let you progress there for just a second.
Did you pass up public comment?
Not yet. We had a couple things here before public comment. We're going to have public comment. We can do it next, but we'll. All right. Okay. Bye-bye. Glad to have your guests here with us here today as well. We can, Julie, let's wait a second. We'll go ahead and do our public comment, and then we'll have Julie come up. And I know that Amy is here for public comment, so.
Good afternoon, Amy Alvey, 2903 Kinlock Road, LaGrange, Kentucky, 40031. I come every year before you guys to let you know and remind you that March is the Brain Injury Awareness Month. 15 years ago, our middle daughter sustained a traumatic brain injury in a single car accident on Christmas Day. When that happened, a group called the Brain Injury Alliance of Kentucky came to the hospital and gave us a lot of hope and a lot of resources that helped us make it through that tough time. So I'm a big believer in paying it forward. So I'm just here to remind everyone that they're called accidents for a reason. No one plans to have, a traumatic brain injury. And that just quick statistics, motor vehicle traffic crashes are the leading cause of traumatic brain injuries in ages 5 to 44 in Kentucky, as well as bicycle accidents are the 4th leading cause of brain injuries in children 5 to 14. So again, they're called accidents for a reason. So just always wear your seatbelt. Make sure your kids wear a helmet as well as adults. So that's all I have. Just remember to wear green in March, other than St. Patrick's Day.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, in the public comment, just before we go any further, I'd just like to mention something. We've had a happy event here for someone, about to celebrate their 100th birthday. Life has happy days and has sad days. One of the sad days now in our community, last Friday, a good friend of mine and the person who's been on our library board, David Hutchinson, passed away. David was just in my office only about 2 weeks ago, came to visit and was cheery, upbeat, happy. A few days later, he found out he had stage 4 lung cancer, and he went down very fast and died last Friday. So I appreciate everything David has done since he's been in our community. He's been a great library board member, been very active. He's just an outstanding individual. I express my appreciation to him and our sympathy to his wife and family members who are forced to go on without him. So I'd just like to ask for a moment of silence in memory of David Hutchinson. Thank you. Now I'd like to ask Julie Barr to come forward with our annual report from the county clerk's office regarding excess fees. Welcome, Julie.
Judge, magistrates, can we turn this on? Go ahead. It's the time of year that I bring my excess fees check to the fiscal court. And excess fees are the monies that are left over from the previous year after we've paid our expenses, salaries, whatever. And so this year I'm bringing a check for $1,135,968. So historically, since I've been the clerk since 2007, I have turned over $6,713,128 to the court for the court to use as they please. This is the bulk of the excess fees. We keep some in the account until everything is dispersed, because we still have outstanding checks, and we are still waiting to pay some of our items that were ordered last year, because as we have maybe heard something about supply chain issues. So we're waiting for a few things to come in, and then upon paying all the outstanding items, the balance will be turned over. But it's usually around $1,000, something like that. So it's my pleasure. Judge, if you wouldn't mind, I'll be happy to hand you this check.
I'm very happy to receive it. Thank you. Thank you. Good check. All right, great. Thank you, Julie. $1,135,967. So thank you very much. And those are excess fees. All right. Well, please stay. Don't. I'd like you to stay just in case there's any questions that come up. Okay, sure. No, that's fine. The next item on the agenda has to do with a memorandum of understanding. I'm asking the fiscal court to approve moving the North Oldham Government Center from the shopping center on Highway 42 to a new addition that is to be built for the Oldham County Library at Highway 42 and 1793, the intersection there. The library has been working with the property owner there for quite a while, and at the end of last year in December, the property owner, Jim Brown, and his wife were willing to donate 5 acres of property to the library for construction of this new library. The library has been at the Creasy Mahan Center, but I think we felt for a very long time that the library needed a bigger, larger space, better space than what was available at Creasy Mahan. So the library has made a commitment to go forward with a library building at the corner of 1793 and US 42. The library is to be 15,500 square feet, I believe what it is. I thought it was 15,000 earlier. It's 15,500. I'm asking Oldham County Fiscal Court to agree to add 1,000 square feet to the front of this building to be a new office for the North Oldham Government Center. We've been operating out of a shopping center there for quite a few years. How many would you say, Julie? Since 2007. Some of you may remember that where the shopping center now sits, there was a branch of the Crestwood State Bank. That branch was surrendered by the county in exchange for using the shopping center space, which is down a hallway at the more or less on the rear of the shopping center. Not really a great space, not a secure space from the point of security. There's cash in there and so forth, but I think a new space at the new library would be an outstanding addition to our community. It would have a secure front entrance at the entrance to the building, and would be a very convenient place for people to come and also use the library and be exposed to library materials and promotions and so forth. They are at this particular space. There's going to be a 4-lane road created that will go into Paramount Estates, an open area there that doesn't have construction now, but Mr. Brown at some point in the future, no definite date, but at some point in the future, expects to expand Paramount Estates into that area using the 4-lane road. Our county attorney, not county attorney, county engineer, and the planning and zoning director have been working with the library to help create a sewer system there, arrange for new lights, 4-way stop there at that intersection, and so forth. So the library has and their architect have given me information that they would in order for us to add that 1,000 square feet, do the architectural work and so forth, we would need we'd need $300,000 to do that. So I'm asking Fiscal Court today to agree to make this commitment to the library. We've got a couple of things to work out, a memorandum of agreement, but essentially this would be our space. We would pay the pro rata utilities for heat, light, possibly garbage. I guess we generate some waste material as well, but the restrooms and so forth would be in the library and not part of our space. So Julie is, sure, Julie, you want to come back forward and you can answer any questions the court, may have on this as far as functionality and security.
To answer any questions, but before I answer questions, I'd like to make the comment that I think that this is a win-win, not only for the library, but for the county clerk's office as well. I have never been particularly happy with the positioning of our office because you walk down a long hallway and we're in the very back. The window is the door that faces the hallway and the back door. I've just not been particularly fond of that, but it is, what was given to us. The other thing is, and they have tried to clean it up, skateboarders and such would go in the breezeway there, and it was a mess a lot of the times. Lights were out, and, we have a day a week that we get to the office at 7 a.m., and I've not been happy about that. No lights in the breezeway, but with a facility that is not county maintained, or I can't do anything about it. The same with cleaning up the parking lot and everything. It's just it's worked fine, but I think that the library would actually be a better option.
All right. Is there a motion that, first of all, let's get this on the floor for discussion. All right. Is there a second?
Yep.
All right. Discussion. Magistrate Logston.
Judge, how long, are we going to sign, a 30, 40-year lease, or how are we going to secure this building?
I don't see this as a lease. I see it as a partnership, I guess. I don't consider it a lease. We would be paying to build the facility there. I don't see an end to it. I think it's an agreement in perpetuity. As long as we have a county, unless something happens at some point in the future where a county clerk's office is all email or, electronics. There isn't such a thing as the county clerk's office. I wouldn't see any opportunity, any need or expectation that we would ever move out of there.
I guess my only problem with that is we know today what our expectations are, but the courts 20, 30 years down the line might not see it as we saw it. So I'm just trying to protect our assets. So that's that question. Right now we understand what's going on. We get that. But we've had situations in court where we couldn't read the minds of somebody 30 years ago, what they meant or what they didn't. So that's the only reason why I asked the question.
Okay, sure. No, I understand. Magistrate Hawkins.
Julie, could you tell us what our current agreement is, what our rent is there currently? And go ahead.
Anything that I could answer because as a clerk, I cannot enter into any type of purchase, land lease, anything like that. That is strictly between the fiscal court and the Hunters Ridge Shopping Center. But it's my understanding that it was basically free for many years. Melissa, am I saying that right? It was free for many. I don't know if it's been changed or anything. That was the agreement when we took possession there. But that is something that the fiscal court agreed to and had an agreement with Hunters Ridge, not my office.
Has that changed?
No, I don't think so. I think it's free space. We use it. It's no guarantee that we'll have it at any point in the future. They could take that shopping center down and do something else with it, and we're out.
Question is I understand the hours, and then one day a week they're open late, as with all the offices. If there's a kind of a fear because it might be kind of dark and hidden, I wonder if it would cost less to adjust the hours.
Adjust the hours because we have. First of all, the citizens have come to expect those hours in each location. And you know how I know? Because if they call and I forget what day it is and I start telling the hours, they're like, no, that's Crestwood. I need Prospect. And so they have come to know and expect the certain times. And it just can't adjust it. We have an early morning where people can stop on their way to work and an evening when they can stop on their way back.
Magistrate Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. The way this is written, especially number 6, it says the parties agree that the agreement is for perpetuity, but if in the future the Oldham County Fiscal Court shall no longer desire a branch in the library, previously allocated space will be surrendered and become part of the library. If we pay to build 1,000 square foot of that building, we're not being good stewards of the taxpayers' money if we walk away from this building. There should be a clause in there to where if we walk away, they have the first right of refusal, and then if the library doesn't take it, we sell that to whoever. Or if they decide to leave before we do, we have the first right of refusal to buy the rest of their building. But to completely walk away from this building that we have paid to build and just say, we don't need it anymore, that's not a good deal.
Okay. Well, I would say this. Number one, I don't think the library would ever enter into a agreement that allowed us to discontinue its use and possibly put some other facility in there. I don't know what it'd be, Subway or something, all comes to mind. But I would just say this to you. Who are the people that we work for?
The taxpayers.
People, the county. Who are the people the library works for? The taxpayers. They're all the same people. So we're not being poor stewards of the money. All the money that we have, all the money they have, it all belongs to the people of Oldham County, period. And for the public servants of the community to, let's say, I don't want to use the word argue or some other word, but to not be able to agree on what is best for our community just because we're in control of this budget and they're in control of that budget, I think it's counterproductive.
They pay us a tax and they pay the library a tax. So how we do ours and how they do theirs is separate.
But there's no reason that they can't come together and work as a community.
Yes, but at the end of that agreement, and we have no idea what's going to happen in 15, 20, 25 years, just like Michael said. How much is it going to cost us to build this building projected? I mean, our space.
$300,000.
Okay, $300,000. That's going to appreciate in value. And in 25 years, I can't say we can just walk away from that and say, here it is, it's yours.
Well, but it won't be worth anything to anybody other than the library. In other words, the library will not enter into any type of agreement that lets us, offload that space to somebody other than the library.
They should have the first right of refusal to buy it and reimburse us.
First right of refusal assumes that implies that if they don't, we could do something else with it. I mean, why wouldn't we just? The day is never going to come when we're not going to. If we don't need a North Oldham Government Center, if the day comes when we don't need that facility, and there's never going to be, that I can imagine, another facility built over there that would be a government space. It's just going to be there in perpetuity.
You don't have a crystal ball, and neither do I. Things change. It just does.
Well, then, if it changes, what is wrong with us turning that space over to the library?
Because we paid good money for that space.
But we is not us. Us is the taxpayers of Oldham County. The taxpayers of Oldham County paid for the entire thing.
The taxpayers
Lock, stock,
paid
and barrel. It's all the taxpayers' money. It doesn't, any of it belong to us. We're representing taxpayers for certain services. At this particular time, these services, if they were to come together, would benefit the people of North Oldham. I think
Why doesn't the library build the whole building and lease it to us?
They are willing to enter into a lease agreement if we want.
It makes perfect sense.
But they would take $15,000 a year for 20 years to come up to $300,000. They would do that, but we can do it if the court wants to do it that way. But my point was that it's bringing two services together that are both worthy, needed, that can help each other, support each other, and benefit the people of that part of the county. And I think we've just accepted a check for $1 million some dollars. That check keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It is not that people in that part of the community, they're paying a certain percentage of this check that we just received. And we've heard Julie say that the area that we're in now, it's crummy, it's not safe. Here's our chance to step up and have a better circumstance for all concerned. So
I'm not saying we shouldn't do any of that. You're twisting words and saying that I think we ought to be in an unsafe place. That is not what I'm saying. And this check has nothing to do with the money for this. It goes into the general fund. We could use that, yes, to pay for this, but we need to be leasing this from the library board, or else we need to be able to sell that space that we paid dearly for down the road. The lease makes the best sense.
okay. All right. Well, anybody else? Manager Woosley.
First, I'm thankful for the Browns donation that made this possible. And anytime two public agencies can work together to benefit taxpayers, I think it is a win-win for everybody. I have two concerns. Will there be signage to make sure somebody knows not to drop off county clerk paperwork in the library's drop box? So I don't want them to come through and say, I'm going to drop off
I think that's easy.
signage. It's simple signage. So just need to make sure that
somebody's
aware of that.
I don't see that would be an issue at all.
And then to make sure that there's some kind of parking for inspections, something reserved for
Inspections any longer.
office. Okay.
That's solely the responsibility of the sheriff. And so we direct all citizens that require that to come to LaGrange. And I don't see that changing.
There should be some kind of signage that says this is a library only drop box.
As a matter of fact, I think that when the judge approached me about this, I have to have an outside entrance that is solely for us because our hours do not mimic the library, and I do not see that that is going to change, at least for my tenure. And then we have to have an indoor door to get to for the employees to use the restroom. But in my mind, I think most people will be more comfortable and with the signage Oldham County Clerk to come in through the door that is on the outside than the in. But you can't always predict what citizens will do. But I get calls for fiscal court all the time, and I just say, hey, that's not me. Call this number. So if somebody does drop paperwork, it would be super easy, or attempt. It would be super easy. Nope, county clerk.
I didn't want them to be responsible for a ballot or money that was dropped in their Dropbox thinking it was for the county clerk. So.
Nope.
You can't always predict what people will do, but in order to, the way the architect described it to me was that people would come in doors, and then immediately to the right would be a secure entrance to the county clerk's office. You'd have to walk and then walk further through more doors into the library. So you'd have to walk right past the county clerk's office to go in the library. So not to say somebody wouldn't do that, but it's
there would be a drop boxes during an election, and the drop box would be out to where people would not have to walk past it. And, I can't imagine that anybody would need to bother the library staff.
We've never had a county clerk's office within a library, so I
can't imagine
people to think that they could just use this Dropbox to get to the county clerk. So that was my only question. So
I think that no problem with signage, and I think if it's plain, and the county clerk's office is here, then the county clerk's office is there.
Measured Hounds.
That office is staffed 5 days a week.
It is.
How many people are in that office?
2.5.
Somebody's only there half a day. Okay. Like, I know, and maybe I'm wrong about this, and tell me if I am, but doesn't the Crestwood office, like, I don't want to call it their secondary job is to do dealer plates, and that do all the offices do dealer plates?
And so what we do is we have, so the office in Prospect does not do dealer plates, but that is not really an additional traffic flow. Usually they have a runner that picks up dealer work. However, there's not really any Oldham County dealers on the north side of the county. So we have dealer work that is done here in LaGrange and dealer work that is done in Crestwood, because that's where the dealers are located. So there would not be any, but even if a dealer was next door, it's really no different than one person. It's a runner, and it doesn't take up any more space because it's just license plate and paperwork.
Where I was going was that, do they have a specialty at Prospect different than any other office?
Really. The only thing that is different with the Prospect office in total is I do close that office from 12:30 to 1:30 every day for lunch, because even though there's 2 full, 1 part-time, if somebody's on vacation, that part-time adjusts their hours, and there's only 2. So instead of saying this week we're going to be open through lunches, next week, no, it's just a consistent close at 12:30, from 12:30 to 1:30. That is really the only difference, and we do not have a dealer clerk there.
The size of the building we're talking about is 1,000 square feet, and that's bigger than what you currently have. And when I read this, Judge, the one thing that it says, fiscal court in consultation with the library will be responsible for interior furnishings of the space in the branch. There's nothing we could probably use from the other branch to put in there.
We had those counters installed. The front counter where customers sit down, and thinking back, I don't know that they are affixed to the floor. So and they're perfectly functional. And the front counter and the back counter, I don't know if they can be moved or not. But really, that's the only thing that would need to be provided for is the sit-down counter for the customers and the back counter for credit card machines, folders, storage, and so on and so forth. Because I think this is a little larger. I think Joe measured. I think the office is currently like at 780. So the actual growth would be a benefit because when you get reams of papers and license plates and things like that, they're just stacked behind the counter. And you have to kind of maneuver around them, where this little additional space would allow for more shelving in the back for supplies. So, other than the back counter, the sit down counter, we have all the chairs and, items that we need, file cabinets and so forth. So it would, and whether those can be repurposed, it's going to take somebody else to be able to tell. I don't remember.
And I just
aged a little bit in that time. I know that's hard to believe, but I have aged. So I just don't remember.
Measure die.
Guys, I don't have any questions for you, Julia. You pretty much covered everything at this point. I can't support this for the simple reason that I don't need to be putting, and a judge we have a different opinion on this. That you're saying, well, we're mixing tax money, but we're not mixing tax money. And well, then if that's the case, then why don't we have the other agencies in the county take that same approach on different things over the years? But you're talking about, and if I'm wrong about these numbers, correct me. You say it's 1,000 square foot room, but it's a 15,000 square foot building, right?
I think it's the last I heard was 15,500.
And I added up the meeting rooms. I didn't take into the stack areas. So there's about 3,800 square feet of meeting rooms, different types of, younger people, older people, kids, whatever. And then that's 3,800 square feet. And then we're going to take that other 1,000. So we're going to take 20% of their what would be considered meeting space, because the stacks are cut out to a different way.
No, that's not right. That 1,000 square feet won't be on there. Our part won't be on that building without it.
15.
It's not it's in addition to. If this is voted down, that 1,000 square feet won't be there.
So if we vote down, okay, well, then I stand corrected on that. I don't like the idea of me owning part of your building, me being the county, you being the library. I think the comments about the existing clerk's office over there have been embellished a little bit. I've been over there. I get my stuff over there sometimes, and it didn't look like a crime-ridden place to me. I mean, they have a
Magistrate, I don't believe I said it was crime-ridden.
Say that you said that, did I?
A lot of the lights are out, and it's not a great atmosphere at 6:15, 6:30 in the morning or in the evening.
I would be happy to call the landlord and ask him why he doesn't fix the lights. Okay. I have a stairwell from the outside stair from Hunters Ridge subdivision, where people come in the subdivision from the sidewalk network. They go up there to that shopping center. So there's a lot of traffic through there. And I'm sure there probably are skateboarders and stuff like that, but they kind of that's kind of went to the wayside. And right, it's a shopping center, and I get that. But I don't like the idea of mixing this up in a lease situation. I mean, a non-lease situation. If they want to build this room and lease it to us, we're interested. But other than that, I can't support it. I want them to have their building doing their thing, and we'll rent from them. All I got to say.
All right. Magistrate Likens.
Thank you, Judge. I think this is just a great win-win situation. I've been to that office over there for the last 15 years. It's it only benefits one subdivision. The Hunter's Ridge is close to it, but the other 25 subdivisions in the county are probably closer to this location. And I think it's a win-win because somebody can go get their driver's license and rent a book if they want to. It's kind of a
Driver's license, vehicle tags.
okay. And I did want to bring this up. I've asked Julie this a dozen times about people buying their cars in Jefferson County and not registering them in Oldham County. We lose a lot more than this $300,000 over the years in that prospect. And I'd like to see the judge put that in his What's Happening magazine that we sent out, just to remind people and kind of beat on their heads that this is a simple thing to just request your registration be done in Oldham County. And Julie, you can expound on that. Tell us how much money you guesstimate we lose every year because of that simple one thing.
Measure Logson.
Judge, I mean, I think this is a great idea to put the library with our building there. But my problem, I still have this problem with not being able to be in control of that situation if something goes awry. I mean, even the office center where they are now, they could come in tomorrow and say, okay, we want X amount of dollars. So no matter what, we have to find a spot for this office space. So I do not have a problem putting it into the library, but I have a problem with not knowing what's going to happen 25 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, when the next court who will be sitting in our chairs wonder what happened 25 years ago when we come up with the space. And there's unlimited amount of different things can happen when you have no control over that 1,000 square foot. So my suggestion it would be is somehow work out something with the library that we have a lease that we don't pay for at least 30 years, 40 years, so that we know where we're going to be in case something happens. What happens to the library? What if somebody, and these are stupid things because anything can happen. What if somebody fell and slipped on the sidewalk and got sued and the library had to pay X amount of millions of dollars? How does that affect the county? I mean, there's just a lot of things that need to be, I think, tightened up before we do this. I mean, and again, Judge, I am not against it.
They slipped at the shopping center.
Library and the clerk's office is in one spot. It helps out the community. Everybody knows where they're going. But I don't like it that we have no control over that 1,000 square foot.
I don't see how we wouldn't have any control over it.
Okay, are they getting? I'll tell you what. Are they getting are they borrowing money to build this building?
Yes.
So what happens if something happens where they can't fulfill their duties and we put $300,000 in it and they can't finish the library? And
the library is going to be I think the number they're projecting here for this library is 8.9 million. 300. I think 3.5 million is coming from the archives and libraries in Frankfurt. They have they're a taxing authority. They've got a bonding capacity. I mean,
build it. I understand that. I'm just saying that's just one piece of the puzzle. That if something goes wrong, where are we stuck? We're stuck somewhere.
Well, what happens if something happens at the shopping center? What if somebody visiting the shopping center is struck by a car entering our heading toward our place in the tunnel?
Another place to go. I get that.
I mean, you can't resolve every question, every risk. Have no idea what's going to happen 30 years from now. We were all sitting here in 1990. We're sitting here in 1992. Sitting here in 2022. I'm not sure life has changed dramatically in many respects. A lot of things are the same. There's been some new inventions electronically, but we can't overcome everything. All we're trying to do here is, I'm not opposed to having a lease arrangement. If that's what people think is a smarter thing to do, enter into a 20-year lease. We'll pay them $15,000 a year for 20 years. They may ask for a interest incremental charge to cover the interest that they have to pay, put out for the 300,000. Small amount, that wouldn't be too much. But my main point is that I think this is a good match. It would be very convenient for the people of our community in that section. It upgrades our circumstance and our location nicely. With that shopping center might come in and tell you tomorrow, we're there for nothing. They might come in and say, hey, we're going to tear this down, build something else. You guys scatter.
100%.
So that's a risk we're taking there right now.
We put 300,000 into that. This we're putting 300,000 into.
We're not putting anything in. It's the people of Oldham County putting the money in.
We represent the people of Oldham County.
Yes, but you don't represent them on everything that's in the community. We're supposed to be the leaders of this community. If we can't see an opportunity for two agencies in the community to work constructively together for the benefit of the people of our community, then shame on us. I mean, we're not 10 different silos in this community all competing. We're all serving the same people, but one time I thought there's 6 agencies that are 6 fire departments in this county. At one time I thought, well, why do we need 6 fire departments? I tried to get everybody to work together. They came together. They did try to do some things to improve the joint operation of the fire departments. Okay, but this isn't, we have one police agency, one school board, a lot of ones, and a lot of people have to work together or should work together for the benefit of everybody who owns all this stuff. And to my mind, it's a perfect fit to put something nice in there to encourage people to come and have a convenient location, a safe location, upgraded circumstance, and also be able to take advantage of the library system. The library is more like media center than a library these days. It does a lot of things. The last I heard was that, and that my information is a couple years old, I admit that about roughly 300,000 people visited the LaGrange Library the last year that Susan Eubanks was the librarian. So there are people going in there, and even if none of us see ourselves there all the time, there are people in our community who access this facility. So why not be convenient for all? And I don't have a problem with the lease. I just thought it was cleaner to pay them and be there and share the utilities for the rest of our lives. But
I have no problem, like I've said, with doing this with the library. I think it's an awesome idea to do it. I'm just trying to protect the taxpayers' money with the 300,000 we're going to invest into it to make sure we have a spot there for the next 20 to 30, 40 years. That's all I'm asking for. And if the library wants us there, which we will pull business to them because it's all in one area, I don't see why they would have a problem signing something saying, yes, y'all can be there for the next 20, 30, 40 years. That's my only. I have no problem with this. This project's a great project. I have no problem with it.
I don't understand your statement.
Measure Woosley.
Would you be willing to change that last sentence, basically to take out where it says if we no longer desire a branch there, county government could still use that building for other means other than a county clerk's office if we decided to remove the county clerk's office from that building? And then add in the line that it auto renews annually with 90 days notice to either agency that we're going to back out of it. That way we know every year it's there. And if one of us decides within 90 days, we can back out of the deal.
But I'll add to what you're saying. The library has to approve whatever we do outside of it being a clerk's office.
Well, and I would say, are you saying 90 days after 20 years? Not 90 days, 3 years from now.
Let it auto renew every July unless 90 days beforehand we decide we're going to do something different in July. We have to tell them in March we're not going to occupy that space.
Office. But if we wanted to use it for something else,
as long as it's county government, we could do whatever we want to over there.
Why wouldn't we just rent it from them?
We could, but why not just go with what it's already here? And
time value of money makes more sense for us to stroke a check for $300,000, guys.
Just get it done with. And okay, we're there in perpetuity unless we give you a 90-day notice.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying though, what I'm saying is that the kind of what Magistrate Rusley was saying, we may not use the building as a clerk's office. I don't know if this is going to happen, but in 20 years, we're going to be, to use Bob Dodds, we're all be on hover cars or whatever he keeps calling them. We may not need to renew tags. I don't know. Everything will be public transportation, not likely, but
Says it, I believe it.
sure, we all do.
But we may need storage. We may need something over there on that side of.
You may need something else over there. I'm not opposed to the building. I just want to make sure that, again, that we're protected. But if you think about it, if they're going to charge us $15,000 a year, we'd be better off to pay it today.
That's what I thought too. Well, I purposely use the word North Oldham Government Center because it is nondescriptive. We know what the North Oldham Government Center does right now. If the North Oldham Government Center is doing something else 20 years from now, well, that's the way it would be. But it doesn't say County Clerk's Office. It says North Oldham Government
I
Center.
understand, but they, the library, are under the impression that we're going to put the clerk's office in there. That tells them the kind of what's going to be happening.
Yeah. Okay. Measure Greenwell.
Judge, I have a confession to make to you and to all the court. I'm not smart enough to have thought about the points that I raised. And so I called Rich Ornstein about this. He's the one that said this is being done in other counties, but there is a clause in the contract that says whoever goes out first, the other one has a right of refusal. So that's why I brought that up. So it just makes sense to either do one with that for both parties so that they're both protected, or for us to just rent space from the North Oldham Library.
Okay. So someone measure that.
All right, I'm back to the square footage thing. I'm looking at the money. You said it was, I'm using your words, so correct me if I'm wrong here. You said it was 15,000 square feet and it's $8.5 million building, correct?
15.5.
15.5.
5. Okay, well, can we just go with the 15,000 for the conversation?
I guess.
It's up to $566 a square foot. If you're going to rent 1,000 square foot room or construct 1,000 square foot room, that's $566,000 that's going to cost to build that building, and we're going to get it for $300,000.
I'm not going to argue with what the library told me. That they sent me an email. I've got what I have here from their architect. I think I'd rather go with their information than your guess at this point.
I'm not asking you to argue about it, but my math is as good as theirs.
Well, there may be some things you're not thinking about,
I was going to be in and out of here. What in the world?
All right. Well, this is what you call making the sausage, and
Nothing to grind.
well, okay. Let's Measure Greenwell. Will you support this if we will put in a right of refusal to if we leave or they leave, the other party gets the right to buy that property. Okay. All right. And everybody said, who made the motion here? Measure. All right. Can you go with that? All right. Well,
Reiterate how we're modifying the motion.
the motion would be modified here on the, I guess, section 6 on the second page that says the parties agree the agreement is in perpetuity. But if in the future, the Oldham County Fiscal Court shall no longer desire a branch in the library, previously allocated space will be surrendered and become part of the library. I think that should have to be changed to say if the fiscal court, if either of the parties no longer agrees to use the building or their space in the building, the other party has the right of first refusal to purchase that space.
And then we purchase it. So in other words, the library would purchase it from Oldham County Fiscal Court for the $300,000.
Yes, or
We remove the word branch and just put if Oldham County shall no longer desire an area within that library so that we're not tied to it having a branch there.
Right. I think that's fine. If you, in other words, you want something else there.
Yeah, because just the clerk's branch, we can, to your point, Judge, North Oldham Government Center, then our intention is to put the branch in there. But if we don't put a branch, if we have to remove the branch or want to remove the branch, then we can, and we've got 1,000-foot meeting space or whatever. But again, it has to be the approval of the library is what I was saying.
Yeah. Okay, for something else. Yeah. All right. Does that seem to be an acceptable point of view?
That's a good question.
Protect.
May I ask a question about that? So is it a possibility that based on that language that the clerk's office moves there and then one day the court says we do not want to have a clerk's office there? You know, we're just out and, we just are out. And so.
Wouldn't be my intention. I mean, that's not what I'm thinking.
I think, no, I mean, not just out. If we no longer desire a clerk's office to be there because some circumstances changed and we don't need one at South Oldham, we don't, we just need here, or if everybody is operating on the internet and we don't know. To Magistrate Logson's point, nobody knows what can happen. But let's say my original thought here was that this would be a clerk's office in perpetuity, forever. But
Here, but that is could anybody just one day walk in and say, hey, listen, we decided that we want to have this as just meeting space on the north end of county. You all need to get your stuff and get out. Where
would just be if the fiscal court decided that.
I'm saying, but I don't work for fiscal court. I still have services that I need to provide.
Right.
So would
no different than if we said, Julie, we're going to move your office down to some other vacant building in LaGrange because we don't want you in this building.
But we own the building, so and again, the contract, the lease agreement is not anything that I have to worry about. It's just the logistics of where we operate. Personally, having one huge office in the center of the county is awesome and would work great, but that's not what people want. So I just want to be clear. So if the language is changed, and it's certainly up to you because you all have to enter into that. Does the clerk need to be is this the weeks that they're going to say no?
No. I would come back. This language needs to say that this is an agreement in perpetuity unless either agency, I'd say in perpetuity for the next 20 years minimum, unless either agency decides that for whatever reason it does not need that space. The library can't give up the space. That was part of their agreement with Mr. Brown. That is a library and forever.
We're worried about the clerk's position there.
Right. And I wouldn't certainly, there seems to be a desire here to say that if we leave, they get the first right of refusal on the property. But I'm sure they're going to come back and say, well, no one else can come in there except us because we're not going to run a library, a public building, just like we wouldn't run this building with some other completely associated entity involved with it. But it could be some other government function in there if the clerk's office becomes passé, in the next century sometime. We don't know. You can't control that. I can't control it. It's just, we're just doing the best we can day by day here. But I saw this in the beginning as a forever agreement with us paying the prorated cost of our whatever utilities we use. I didn't see us ever getting out, but apparently some people would like a more definite conclusion if we ever did get out. But I don't see it happening myself.
Does the fiscal court currently have a contract with the clerk's office for any space like this, like the South Oldham Government Center? And if not,
own that building.
Right. So we don't have a lease agreement with. So maybe that would be something that the clerk's office might be comfortable with, is entering, say, a 20-year lease for.
I cannot enter into a lease for that.
This is a fiscal court. I mean, we're not going to have an agreement here that they could get booted out or anything could happen.
Number one here where it says Oldham County Clerk for its North Oldham Government Office. Maybe we could word that to say North Oldham Government Office with the intention of the Oldham County Clerk's office.
Why? It's the North Oldham. It's not called that now. It's called the North Oldham Government Center. South Oldham Government Center. It's called the South Oldham Government
To
Center.
address the concerns that I'm hearing.
I don't think there are. Julie doesn't need to have a concern because we're not going to sign anything. It's not for at least 20 years. And I don't think 20 years from now, Julie's worried about who's county clerk. And they're going to have a county clerk. If there's such a thing exists, it'll be there.
Actually, I do care a lot. So.
Right. So, okay.
If I could be the county clerk and live in Cabo, it would be perfect.
Right. It'd be perfect. Okay. I mean, we've got a motion in the second to go forward with this, but we changed the language on item 6 to say that in the event that either agency no longer is going to use its space, that the other agency gets first right of refusal to purchase that space. Is that? Yep. Okay. Wayne?
The only question I have with that is, wasn't it the agreement with Brown that if the library ceased to be a library, that they turned that property back over to Brown?
That seems to make sense, but I can't say it for certain.
Seems like I saw or heard that somewhere. So if that becomes a statement, then we can't jump ahead of that statement. Do you understand?
Well, and that's only if we left, not if the library left.
And the other thing is the county government has a responsibility to provide office space for the county clerk. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So to answer your question to me earlier, could we ask the county clerk to leave sometime? Yes, but it only makes sense we'll provide another equal space to them. The same way it's our responsibility to provide office space for the PVA. And we do that. So that concern to me seems just mute.
So our first right of refusal really has to do with offering the library the space if we should leave. Because if the library should leave, it could revert back to Mr. Brown. Right. But I personally, I feel these are.
Know what the agreement with the library is with Mr. Brown, so we're just guessing at this point.
Well, I think that it is required to be a library space. And I think that.
Just to be, then title reverts back to him.
Well, it's very likely it could be, but if it.
Are we putting Jessica from the library in a precarious situation where she wouldn't be able to sign this?
Jessica won't sign anything. The chairman of the library board will sign.
The library board.
Right.
Are we putting the library board in a?
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, I feel that these fears I understand them, but I feel they're unfounded. I don't think we're ever going to leave.
I was on the fence with this, leaning the other direction, but I'm happy with the modification to the motion. And so I'm going to go ahead and support this.
Yeah. For any further comments about this? All right. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 8-1. Thank you, everyone. I think we've made an excellent move here. The next item on the agenda would be the opening of the Aquatic Center and Architectural Services RFQ. And obviously, from what I've received here, we only have one submission. And that submission here is from Brandstetter Carroll of Lexington. And believe this is gonna. I'm going to turn this over to Melissa Horn and Gary Parsons or Kevin Nuss. I'm going to ask them to look at it and see. We only have one submission. Fully expected it's going to be in compliance with the requirements for qualifications. This did not involve money. It involved qualifications to be the people who would design the plan and the construction plans for the pool renovation. We're separating the word repair. We're doing away with that word. We don't want that. It's a renovation. It's not a repair. So we'll come back to that a little later in the meeting here. Under contracts and resolutions, we have item A here, the payables. And when you're ready, we'll pay our money.
Make the motion, we pay the payables.
Are there any questions on this? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Under contracts and resolutions, we have a bid award for the household hazardous waste collection event. Becky Zockline.
Judge, good afternoon, members of the fiscal court. We received one bid for the household hazardous waste collection event from Environmental Enterprises in the amount of $29,399.20. And we are going to award the bid to Environmental Enterprises. They've been our historic provider or contractor for this event, and they've always done an acceptable, wonderful job. And so we're pleased to award this contract.
I'd like to make that into a motion, please.
All right, thank you. Second. Manager Greenwell. All right, seconded. Sorry. Any discussion on this? All in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now, Becky, also with the Emergency Management Hazardous Mitigation Grant Program.
This is a allocation of funds from FEMA in response to declared disasters. So every time a disaster is declared anywhere in the country, FEMA issues a portion of the or percentage of the overall losses that were incurred from that disaster event. And the disaster event in question is titled DR 4497, and that is also known as COVID. So these, and of course that was a nationally declared disaster, but the state of Kentucky was awarded over $19 million to spend for disaster mitigation of all kinds. So what we are looking at doing is using these funds or applying to for flood hazard mitigation for properties that didn't qualify or qualified for a lesser reimbursement amount from the flood mitigation assistance that we applied for in 2021. We are also looking at applying for funds for elevating the roads at Harmony Landing and Oldham Acres roads. And we're looking at that in a long-term perspective. So I'm asking the court to allow the judge to sign this application and all the documents pertaining to it, hopefully an award letter and contracts, so that we can provide these mitigation funds, this disaster mitigation funds to our county.
I'd like to make the motion that we allow you to sign the resolution for application for and administration of Kentucky Emergency Management Hazardous Mitigation Grant Program application.
All right. Second is all right. Any discussion on this? Magistrate Towns.
Let me make sure I understand this. Essentially, we're going to take COVID funds and use them for flood mitigation.
COVID funds. These are funds that are set aside for specifically for disaster mitigation by FEMA in response to a presidentially declared disaster. It's automatic for every disaster. We're also coming up on the same kind of funds as a result of the tornadoes in Western Kentucky. And anytime there's a disaster, a flooding disaster, these funds are made available to the entire state for all disasters. I mean, for mitigation against all disasters. So it's a certain portion of FEMA funds that are just for improving the resilience of a community.
And so we chose to use the funds for flood mitigation and not for something else? Or how, are there parameters we have to use the money on?
Be used for any disaster, any kind of mitigation. It can be used for sirens. It can be used for storm shelters. It can.
That's where I'm going.
Yes.
The priority.
This was the priority that we had available to us. If you would like to discuss other priorities, fine, we can do that because there's other funds behind this DR 4497. And I'm creating those right now. I'm looking at what we can apply for in the next batch of funds.
I just know that in a past conversation, not between you and I, but between, I think, Mr. Urban and I, we wanted to get out of the flood mitigation, the raising of houses, because we have files, and I don't want to go through the dates or anything that are just muddy. I mean, they are they closed? Are they not closed? Is the project completed? Is the project not completed? And it just seems like a nightmare to administer on your end and on Melissa's end and Jim's end.
It is very difficult. I agree.
These are, I mean, is this a similar type process then, or similar type adventure that we're getting into?
Yes.
And then we don't know what these dollars are. We don't know the value yet.
Of the actual grant application, like how much we'd be applying for? No, we don't know.
Well, we know that number.
Probably in May.
And I guess this is all procedural, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but it just seems like we're asking for something that we don't know what we're asking for. We don't know what the money is, how much money we're asking for.
And in all these cases, with all these grant resolutions, we don't know the amount that we're going to be asking for at the time that we bring the resolution before the court. We never know.
Based on how much we can get, correct? Don't know.
And whatever need is presented to us. I mean, for instance, with the road elevation, we know that's going to be in the millions, but I don't know, because we don't know how we're going to space out the project. We're not sure if we're going to use only this pot of money or if we're going to go after a different pot of money later. You know, we're cobbling together several funding sources. But that's totally different from raising a house.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we're on the road committee here now, Magistrate Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. What the court has before it is a letter from the Transportation Cabinet about the allocation of the flex funds. This is a yearly process, and the amount that they think is this year for us is $131,531, and the road committee looked at this last meeting and decided to once again turn this back over to the state, because if anybody is honest, if you've been on any of the state roads, they're not in as good a shape as the county roads are. So they've got their own problems. So we just decided as a road committee unanimously to turn these monies back over to the state.
All right, and they will be coming forward to tell us
Hey, yes.
May what they would suggest that we use them for. And
Greenwell, have we typically done that?
Yes, there's only been 1 year when we did not do that, but all the other years since a long time, we've done it.
20 years.
I mean, right. People don't realize, but if you see a road with a name on it, like Smith Street or whatever, that is a county road. And our county roads, with the exception of maybe a couple that you can find out there, I think are in pretty good shape. We pave every year, and they're supposed to last about 20 years, and we keep them up. State highways, we take the blame for, but they're not something that we're supposed to keep up. They wouldn't be in that shape if we were. They'd give us the money, we'd get the job done, but it's the state, and they're parceling it out as best they can. So we would like all these state highways widened and repaved as soon as possible, but we don't have the ability to force them into doing it.
I can give them a list of some state roads if they want to spend that 131,000.
Right. I mean, 131,000 is a lot of money if it's in your pocket. When it comes to road work, this isn't going to go too far. But it might be. We might get a few more dollars by the time the thing's over. So, and all right. So we've got a motion in the second. Is there any further discussion?
Motion.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, moved and seconded. Magistrate Likens.
Magistrate Greenwell, what percentage is this? I've been a long time since I've been on the road committee. Is it like 4%, 3%? Is this figure?
I'm not sure about that, to be honest, Brent.
But it's a percentage of what we get
With that
from
FIS
roads
formula and all that, and
based on a formula.
that is.
Thank you.
All right, there's a confusing formula called the formula of fifths, and the fifth of the money goes here, a fifth goes there, and none of us up here, we all hear about it, but none of us actually probably can repeat it as accurately as we'd like. But it's divided up 6 ways from Sunday, and or 5 ways from Sunday, and we do get our share. I will say that in the state road plan over the next between now and the end of 2024, there are $84 million in road project work slated for Kentucky. Design, right-of-way, construction. There are several phases that we have to go through to have anything actually come out finished. And but it all adds up to $84 million. So that's all state money. So it's not that we're not getting, we're getting a lot more than the 131,000 when you count all the change. But it's just that everything takes an inordinate amount of time to get accomplished. And we're sorry about it, but we agitate to move things forward as much as we can. But District 5 here, which covers Oldham, Jefferson, Bullitt, Spencer, Shelby counties. There are lots of projects that you're not aware of if you're not in that business that are underway across the entire region. So, and we do a lot of promoting of our projects as well as we possibly can. So we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Magistrate Tice, do you still want to take a 10-minute break, or are you?
I think we need to, if that's all right with you, we'll go forward.
Say, can we add, excuse me, can we add that placeholder from the, when we approved the agenda from earlier, can we use that placeholder right now?
Yeah, that's what I was heading for.
What we're doing. Got it. Okay. Deputy Judge Kevin Nuss and Parks Director Gary Parsons have said by their nod to us is that we need to go forward. We're able to go forward with Grant Sterling and Carroll with selecting them as our architect to go forward with the renovation of the pool. I'd like to make that into a motion.
Second.
Okay. Moving seconded that we go forward with Branstetter Carroll, or that Carroll, they were the only submission. And they are certainly a qualified organization that built many pools across the country. So, Gary, go ahead.
If there's any questions.
Okay. Are there any questions from any of the magistrates? Okay. I think you got lucky here. No questions. So, all right. So
Need to vote on that?
I think we do.
All right. I made mine as a motion.
We've got a motion second on the floor to go forward with Branstetter Carroll on the pool design and construction. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thing, Judge, me following the court today, if the pool committee could meet in a large conference room for a couple of minutes, we need to set up, now that we've approved it, we need to set up a meeting with Branstetter and Carroll.
Okay, great.
Meeting, just talk about it.
So not really a meeting. It'll be what, just
Workshop.
where we tell you what date and time we can meet with the consultant. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're going to go on, we're just going to meet in the large conference room.
Short gathering session to see when you can have a meeting. Everybody work out their calendars. Okay.
Yes.
RFQ, right. Oh, no. Yeah, RFQ.
RFQ.
That's qualifications. Okay, under personnel items here now, Ms. Schaaf,
Before you this afternoon, we have the first item is a rate correction for Matt Dunaway's promotion from last court. It should be $29.23 per hour effective March 1st.
right, we're off $1 or something on that. Okay, is there a motion to approve that?
Second.
All right, moving second. Any discussion on it? All in favor, please say aye. And the next item is we have Shane Davis has left as of March 2nd. And then we have some rehires here.
We have park maintenance for seasonal hires, Cecil Slayton and Kevin Padilla at $10.50 an hour effective tomorrow.
All right, the motion to
I'll make that motion.
seconded. All right. Any discussion on those? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now we have a retirement to announce here. This is effective April 1st. Major Neil Johnson is going to be leaving the department. He's going to retire. Neil has 22 years with Oldham County Police. We're very appreciative of the service and that he's provided, dedication, long hours, and sacrifices family has made to serve our community. Neil will certainly be missed. And maybe, are we going to meet again? When's our May meeting here? Does anybody know? April meeting, sorry.
4th.
April 4th. Well, maybe, Chief, if he's available, ask Neil to come. We'd like to thank him for his service in person on that day. So, and we'll be.
I stand corrected. It's April 5th, Judge.
April 5th. Okay. All right. Well, if he's not in some other part of the country that day, we'd be very happy to thank him here for his service. So now back to our second public comment. Does anybody come in who would like to address the fiscal court here with an issue or?
Members of court, I come to you on what was presented once before by Ms. Hayden Kundle of the KIPTA region. The hazard mitigation plan, you all passed a resolution to accept that as we normally do because that's part of the way FEMA funds and just part of the big picture. However, the district must respond with a number of hours in kind, if you will, to receive that classification, those monies when they come down. Our district, I'm not part of KIPTA, but the district that we're in has 7 counties, but we are about 200 hours short of those hours. Now, I'm going to be sending out an email countywide because the only person in the county that can't claim hours is me, because part of my salary is funded by FEMA funds, and someone who gets federal funds can't also participate in this. But in this email will be a link two links. One to the hazard mitigation plan as it is on the website. And the other link will be to a form that if you would fill out and say that, yes, I reviewed the plan on this date from this time to this time, or maybe just say how many hours you did it. Again, Oldham County does not bear the burden of the whole 200 hours. I'm just going to be asking that we participate a little bit in it. It's going to go to everybody in the county because I asked her if we all could use it, do it. And of course, she confirmed that I can't. But there's nothing on there that clicks or that records the time you started and the time you ended. You put that information in there yourself that I reviewed it for 1 hour. And there's multiple times when you can go on there, like I reviewed it one time, I reviewed it twice, reviewed it 3 times, because it's a lengthy document and it might take more than an hour or more than one time to review. So I'm just giving you heads up that that's coming out, and we do need to probably assist KIPTA a little bit in obtaining those doing
Countywide email, not, I mean, the employees email.
Employee-wise, yes. No, I'm sorry. Thank you for clarification.
You're going to love this one. You know what I'm going to say? Can we take that link and put it on another media source like social media?
No. It's got to be county employees.
County employees. Okay, that's what I was getting at. If you needed, okay.
I'm not putting it out over Smart 911.
I was not suggesting that.
Email.
Wasn't suggesting that, but I mean, if we through our constituent base could send that out.
You do raise a good question. Maybe I will ask her whether or not fire departments and police departments that aren't necessarily county organizations.
That's where I was going.
Question. I will follow up on that. But again, we got to remember that the whole 200 hours isn't ours. Yeah, that's spread out over 7 counties, but I think we can do a little bit of our part.
All right. Thank you. Any questions? No. All right. Thank you. Anyone else like to, I know Gary's going to come up here and promote a couple things he has going.
I know a couple of events we have coming up for Parks Department. This Saturday is our Cloverleaf 5K. It's our 13th or 14th year for that race. It will be held at Briar Hill Park. June 11th is our Oldham Half Marathon, which will be run in Oldham Reserve. That is a Saturday morning. It's our first time ever doing a half marathon, 13.1 miles. So need a lot of help with that. May 21st is a down and dirty mud obstacle run held at Windemore Park. It's a 5K going through obstacles, crawling through mud, and just having a good old time. Okay. Thank you.
This Saturday, what time do the runners need to show?
Registration starts at 7 a.m. The race starts at 8.
I do it, but I have a hazard mitigation form I've got to read this weekend. So
down and dirty in May.
I'll probably still be reading.
For the inaugural Oldham run, are there prizes?
There will be awards. I'm working on door prizes. I'm still looking for sponsors and different things.
But heard that they were going to give away a ham. Is there?
I'm planning on giving away a ham to the overall male and female finishers. Yes.
All right, great. Thank you. Anyone else to address the fiscal court here as we wind up? This will go through our members now to see if there are any parting comments. Magistrate Logston.
Just that I'm sorry David Hudson wasn't here to see this today. I mean, I've known him for years. Great person. Loved the library. He was just an awesome person. I did not know he passed away. I went to, I think, 4 funerals this week. So, or 4 funeral homes. Can't keep up with everybody, but I want to tell him and his family, his wife, that I'm very sorry for his passing. He had an unlimited passion for the library. He loved the library completely. So sorry about his passing.
All right. Thank you. I am too. Magistrate Dye.
Again, this past weekend, this is my pet peeve of the month, is people that are not scraping their windows. I actually saw a guy on Westport Road that he couldn't have had a spot scraped on his windshield any bigger than a coffee cup. And how in the world they get from point A to point B and don't have a wreck's beyond me. Scrape your windows, save your neighbor.
Good idea. Manager Hawkins.
We've got proms coming up, and I would just ask that everybody be careful. There's going to be a lot of young drivers on the road and going back and forth to prom. So just asking everybody to be vigilantly alert to, maybe some less experienced drivers on the roads these next couple of weeks during prom time.
Registered hounds.
Judge, today I was informed of a local business that had a smoker grill stolen from outside of their building. That smoker grill had been used by lots of organizations for fundraisers and just for use for families that purchased meat products and that. It's a sad day when someone takes something that doesn't belong to them that was locked up for their personal use. I hope that we can find the person that did this and recover the item for the person that owned it.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's you see this, and thievery is one of the most irritating things there is out there. Somebody that just can't leave your things alone. Measure Greenwell.
Thank you. I was talking to Mr. Nard about this earlier. We get these notifications on our phone about the roads are going to be fixed, pothole patched, and all this kind of stuff. And so the other day they put out 1694, and so I thought, that's great. I travel that road, and I know there's some on that thing. Well, I was on both ends of it, Sleepy Hollow end and the Gum Street end. They didn't touch anything. So I don't know why they're going to put out those notifications if they're not going to do the work, or maybe they don't have the crew to do it with. Whatever, don't put the notification out. But anyway, it's just there's a lot of potholes out there, and they need to be fixed.
So. Excuse me. I had a guy call me on 329 talking about to lose a tar up there, but on the Sleepy Hollow side, on the 22 side, and he was on the phone with me. He was pretty. He's actually one of Manager Tice's people, but he was pretty ripe on the phone with me. And I said, well, I'll see what I can do. And then called me the next day and said, I don't know what you did, but they're all filled up. So I don't know. That must have been before you did.
You took credit for that, I guess?
That's Judge Vogel did it.
Okay.
That was the right thing to do, too. Okay.
Clarification real quickly, please. We put it out when the highway department puts it out. I'm not putting it out on our own.
I wasn't insinuating that, because you and I have had
I understand, but I just wanted everybody to know that.
Why put that out if you're not going to do the work, or alert people to that if you're not going to do it? But anyway.
We get those notifications and we'll put them out. So, but yeah, we just go with what the highway department gives us. Thank you.
All right, Magistrate Woosley.
Department did fill potholes on 524 and Old Sligo Road last week. I'm very appreciative of that. So, the North Oldham High School Mustangs are on their way right now to Lexington to participate in the Sweet 16 tonight. I want to wish them well. During our payables this afternoon, we paid about $4,000, if my math adds up, for roadside litter abatement to different clubs. Want to recognize them going out and picking up that litter. That was a lot of work, and it's well needed. And I know Julie was here earlier, Julie Barr, and I wanted to just thank her office for the $1 million that she returned back to the counties. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Tice.
Else, thank you.
Magistrate Likens.
For St. Patrick's Day, Thursday, wear something green and drink green beer. And the first day of spring, Sunday, by the way. So I know we're looking forward to that. Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. Michelle mentioned earlier when we mentioned about Major Johnson retiring. He's been our second in command at Oldham County Police. Last week, the second in command in the Sheriff's Department, Captain Bob Noble, retired. So we are losing two very experienced police officers and law enforcement officers, and we wish them both well in their future endeavors. Their service has been long and good in our county, and they'll definitely be missed. The manager for the construction project on the courthouse has notified me that the day they're going to start moving the courthouse now is the last Monday of the first week, last week of the month. I think it's the 28th, but I'm not certain here right this second. So all the rain we've had has caused the ground to sag and be too soggy. So they're waiting for it to dry out. People keep asking me when the courthouse going to move. And right now it's the first, the Monday of the last week of this month. So thank all of you for being here with us today. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. We're adjourned.